Hey, what is up, guys? Good Gypsy, and we are back here today for NPL Week 6 of Season 8. We're going up against Murk this week in a pretty interesting game, in my opinion. This matchup looks quite interesting at face value. You see, over to the right, he's got the Tapu Lele with the Dog Trio, so very smart core. A core I originally drafted in ITL before I dropped Dougie and picked up Lando T, the GOAT. So I can definitely appreciate the pairing. Dougie breaks down every single Lele check in the game essentially that isn't a fat psychic, so traps it, removes it for Lele to just go ham. So very powerful core in this game. Very threatening. It certainly invalidates a lot of teams' offense because trapping is busted. And yeah, trapping is something that I've used in the past, and I really do enjoy it. But it's no doubt about it. It is a very sort of leaning on kind of broken mechanic, I guess, in the game. So that's definitely going to play a factor in this team builder. But then he's got a really fat team. He's got like Mega Venu, Aloe, Heatran, Zapdos, like really obnoxious fat core. With Umbreon in the back for cleric support. So yeah, Murk has a very fat team, a team that naturally chews hits from Aegislash. Contrary to popular belief that like Aegislash is just broken and no teams have answers for it. This team in particular has fantastic ways of pivoting into that thing, healing up with Wish support or Synthesis, or just lefties, and immediately placing pressure on Aegislash. So Aegislash isn't really going to perform a real offensive role in this game because even like modest Shadow Ball does like 30 something to like mixed defensive Mega Venusaur. So yeah, yep. AG is not going to be an offensive factor in this game, but it is going to be a reasonably nice pivot into stuff like Tapu Lele. That being said, Lele gets access to Nature's Madness in conjunction with Shadow Ball, which can severely weaken an Aegislash and prevent it from checking Lele subsequent times during the match. So yeah, I don't think that Aegislash is a real scary menace to Murk's team at all. I think the real big threats to his team are my Medicham and my Nihilego. So it's going to be interesting to see how he preps around it. I mean, I know people are freaking out over Aegislash, but the fact is, it's not as how do I put this? It's not as it's not as instantly threatening as a lot of people believe, like as a lot of people think. So, like for instance, in this game, even Alamamola, if it's like mixed defensive, can switch in and take Shadow Balls, can threaten it with Mirror Coat. All it takes is a bit of creativity on the builder's part, and Aegislash can be played around. But versus a team like this, there's no way I'm bringing offensive AG. It just does absolutely nothing. Not to mention he's got stuff like Umbreon, which just switch in all day long. Has foul play for SD variants, can heal Bell off Toxics. He has Frogadier, which can obviously run like Protean in this game. Many ways of checking it, even like sub lefties like Precious Zapdos can check Aegislash. And then obviously Katana with the knockoff is going to be doing a fuckload if he's like Life Orb, especially if he's Adamant. So yeah, lots of ways of checking that. But that being said, he doesn't have the best checks to Medi on his team. So obviously he's got the Lele, which 4 times resists Medi's HJK, and he resists the Psychic Stab of Medicham, but he also sets up the Psychic Terrain, which is really nice because that's going to be boosting the power of my Psychic attacks, and Lele is the kind of mon that can be worn down during the game. Yeah, his kind of best response after, like, I don't want to call Lele a Medi response because it's not really a Medi response, but his best kind of switch-in, I suppose you could say, is Alamamola. And if that thing is either a Rocky Helmet set, that could be a real sort of hindrance to my Medicham, especially if he runs Dog Trio. But if he decides to bring what in my opinion is probably the better set from his perspective, which would actually be Eject Button Alamamola into Dog Trio, that is a core that I think could really work well to remove Medi, which is one of my biggest threats, probably my best threat after Nihilego to his team. And that is a core that I am certainly, expecting to come to this game. So that kind of explains why this Medicham set looks the way it does. So the concept behind this Medi is I live from an Adamant Dug trio. The way my spear tiers work is, Murk can afford to run Adamant Dug here if he wants to. He's got no reason not to. And Adamant Dug with the Z move, it invalidates just a regular offensive Medicham, especially if he's got Psychic Terrain up, because it will block any attempt. I have it going for Bullet Punch to take out a weakened Dougie. So that's just another way that Lele and Dougie work well in conjunction there. But the two of those, eject button Aloe into Dougie could well trap Medicham, removing it from the game just by his Dougie popping his Z move off the Ground EMZ here. So the concept of this Medi is to be able to protect on the Dougie, take a max roll Z EQ through protect if I need to, and then take the following max roll Adamant EQ from the Dougie if I need to. So yeah, Medi, very very nice one here. Obviously, like it only has 28 attack investment, but it's still got 486 attack. So that Medi, man. But it's not going to be doing a ton of damage to Aloe, honestly. Like, Aloe's going to be chewing the hits pretty well, but I do have bulk up to set up on that thing. If he has Toxic, that's obviously going to be a bit annoying, and if he potentially Skull Burns me, but I am expecting him to probably run Liquidation as a way of 2-going my Nihilego. So that's going to, that if he does bring a set like that, it's going to play into this Medi's hands. Obviously, Medi does also check the Venusaur as well with the Psycho Cut, and Psycho Cut just over Zen to avoid taking Rocky Helmet damage, as if he is Rocky Helmet Alamore, that could be pretty annoying because it would leave me potentially out of a range of health where I can survive those Dog Trio attacks that I mentioned earlier. So the next one we have here is my Aegislash. So like I said, this thing is not going to be offensive at all. It's purely just a Spadef AG to help with checking Lele. Nothing too crazy about this set at all, just pretty standard Toxic to catch stuff like Umbreon or Aloe switching in. Heatran walls this set, like Spadef Heatran comes in on this all day. That's not really something I can avoid, as I did need this move set here. So if he does have Venusaur, it will wall this obviously, but getting Shutterball chip off on that is nice. No Aegislash set can actually beat a Venusaur 1v1 unless I'm like +6 and he's not carrying Earthquake or Knockoff or something like that. So chances are he may also be raw Venusaur. So this AG is a nice specially defensive pivot, a nice disruptor with Toxic for stuff like Umbreon, but ultimately it's just here to switch into Lele, as that thing is a bit irritating to my team, very irritating to my team, especially if he's a Scarf set, as that just invalidates Medicham and Garchomp. So as well as Nihilego without a boost. So yeah, AG is also nice for just getting information on that Lele, as if he does switch up moves, he shows lefties, I've got information that he's not a Scarf set, which is very good for me. So the next one we have here is a nice Vinecoon. Very very solid set in this game. Vinecoon is it's like a team in itself. Like, that's how I kind of view Vinecoon. It's like it's a whole party of mons in itself. If you play it right, it's just like the pressure it places on a team is it's hard to compare to a different mon, because this thing doesn't, like, it's not getting kills right off the bat, obviously, but the way in which a person who knows how to use Vinecoon can use it to weaken down opponent's team, stall PP of certain moves that may be targeted at other teammates, very useful. And Coon here, depending on his Venusaur set, I can 1v1 it. I can also set up an Aloe and 1v1 that, get to +6 on that. With this speed, I outspeed a modest Lele, which is nice, and I naturally outspeed his Heatran here. So yeah, there's not much to say. You guys know what Vinecoon does. A very effective mon in its own right. So the next one we have here is just a nice nice Rocks Garchomp, nice lead. Potentially lead, just a potential breaker as well, because his team does not appreciate Z Outrage. Like, EQ into Z Outrage kills max defense Venusaur. Zapdos switching in on Rocks, if he's like max defensive, he's going to drop to Z Outrage. Getting Rocks up in this game is going to be very crucial. Very very nice for stuff like Medicham and my Nihilego winning this game. So yeah, if I get it Rocks, that's going to be clean. SD, I can always SD up on a Roost or a Synthesis, and even up on a Wish from the Alamomola. So if I get an SD up, max defense Alamomola, it just drops to Z Outrage. So here we have the Rocky Helmet Mandy, obligatory cart check, because Kartana is yeah, Katana is a pretty busted mon, and Murk's been using this thing fantastically throughout the season. I think it's like the league killer in the league, so you got to respect Kart. I think Kart's such a sick mon. I'm very, very keen to use it myself at some point in a league. Yeah, you got to respect that threat. And yeah, this Mandy checks it. Obviously, foul play just blows it away if it tries to set up in my face, and foul play is comfortably 2-KOing that thing anyway. It also does solid chip to stuff like Heatran, Lele, Zapdos. Like, it's not doing a lot, but it's doing enough to put it in range of attacks from my Nihilego. So, yeah, pretty nice here. Also, Oko's Dougie as well, which is pretty funny. U-turn in conjunction with my Medicham and my Garchomp and my Nihilego is very appreciated here. So, lastly, we have probably the one of the biggest win cons this game, and that is Shed Shell Nihilego. So, you see nice 4 attacks, nice charge beam here. Pretty much aimed at getting the boost versus passive shit like Aloe, who can't do much to me. Liquidation never kills me. And Charge Beam, getting that special attack boost is going to be really nice because this Nihilego is a speed boosting nature, so a speed boosting set. So with the beast boost, I'll get an increase in my speed, and that's really going to put Nihilego on the path to just cleaning up his team if I do manage to get a special attack boost with the Charge Beam. In certain situations, I may not even need to get the special attack boost. I may just be fine to go ahead and yep, click Stab or click Psyshock. Psyshock here mainly for the Venusaur. It also Oko's Dugtrio at +1 after Rocks, so that's really nice. Yeah, just a very solid mon in this game. Yeah, gonna see how Nihilego is gonna go in this match, but gonna pause it here and we're gonna jump right into the game and see how it went. Alrighty guys, so we are back here with the game, and as you guys can see, Murk opted to bring a very thick team to this game. So he opted to leave stuff like Aerodactyl on the bench. Didn't bring stuff like Zapdos, which I felt was a little bit yeah, it was kind of surprising. He also left Heatran at home, which I thought was very unusual because Heatran was one of his best sort of Aegislash checks, though he does have, like, he's got Venusaur, Alomomola, and the Umbreon here, which all check Aegislash pretty well. So that's understandable, and I guess I do have, my offense does threaten Heatran, but Heatran is a pretty solid defensive pivot into a lot of fat stuff on my team, so I felt like that would definitely come to this game. But as you can see, he opted to bring the Lele with the sort of fat core of Aloe, Venu, and the Umbreon, and then some nice offense in Dougie and the Katana. So a pretty interesting team. Yeah, we don't see a few things that could potentially stop Nihilego, like the Heatran, but you know, this is looking nice. That being said, like I mentioned in the team builder, Aegislash is going to be a non-factor in terms of offensive presence this game. It's just going to be here to pivot, essentially, as yeah, nothing on his team really cares too much about it. Obviously, Lele doesn't want to take a Shadow Ball. It's going to do quite a lot to that thing, but if you know, if he can click off a Nature's Madness into a Shadow Ball after some prior ship, it's going to take out my AG, assuming he's offensive. So that's going to be a real issue to play around this game. And obviously, Dugtrio is going to really force me to play a certain way with stuff like my Garchomp, for example. Like obviously, I've got Shed Shell on my Nihi, but Garchomp, if it gets weakened, it could be revenged, you know, trapped and revenged by EQ Dougie. So gonna have to watch out for that. But just yeah, looking at matchup, his team is vulnerable to rocks, quite vulnerable to rocks. He could potentially have a double Wish Pass core. In fact, he probably does. He probably does have Wish Pass from Aloe as well as from Umbreon. Maybe potentially not Umbreon. Maybe like Heal Bell with Moonlight or something like that. But definitely Wish on Aloe. He may potentially have Defog on Cart, but I really felt like Murk would bring Scarfed or like a Life Orb SD set to this game, so those are just my thoughts going to the game. His options for Scarfers are Cart or Lele. Dougie is not a Scarfer in this. Well, I mean, like, it's okay as a Scarfer, I guess, but it's very weak. And he really loses out by not running Ground EMZ or Band here, so I'm really expecting like either Cart or Lele to be a Scarfer if he does want to bring one. Though he could just easily not run Scarf in this game, feeling comfortable that his Fat Mons can take on my speedy threats. So that's just my my thoughts of matchup. But we're going to jump right on into this game. He's going to lead off with the Vino, as I do lead off with Chomp. So, like I mentioned, rocks, very nice here. Getting them up early, especially on a lead Venusaur, on one that really can't put Garchomp in range of anything from Dougie unless he is hidden power ice, is really nice. So, I am going to go for my rocks turn 1 as he does fire off the Leech Seed, and this is important information. This means that one of Venu's moves is Leech Seed, and if he Synthesis, that leaves him with 2 moves left. If he's going to have Grass Stab for Coon and for Quag, that's going to be 1 move taken up in like Giga Drain, and then if he wants Sludge Bomb for being able to hit stuff like Medi and my Mandibuzz, for example, hard, that's going to use up all his slots. If he's going to want to run coverage for Aegislash and Nihilego, that's going to be something like Earthquake or maybe even Knockoff. That's going to be another slot that's taken up. So that him packing Leech Seed is pretty interesting, but that is a nice way of getting around Aegislash, for example. It's a nice way of really pressuring a lot of my team with Leech. So yeah, very understandable tech there. But this means that Garchomp will be able to kind of escape this this scenario with just losing 12% as opposed to taking a Giga Drain there or a Hidden Power Ice or something like that. So he's going to make the switch this turn, add into his Umbreon as I make the switch into my Mandibuzz there. So Mandibuzz covered, the Mandibuzz play there covered him staying in, obviously, and Giga Draining there. It covered him going into the Katana to defog on my Garchomp. It covered him going to Lele, like a Scarf Lele, expecting me to SD there. It covered him going into Dugtrio, being like Ground EMZ, expecting me to SD there. Because I was Leech Seeded, me going for like an EQ or like a non-Z move or something like that, even a Z move versus a full health Mega Venusaur is kind of a whack play, because in conjunction with just how fat Venu is, plus the Leech Seed recovery he'd be receiving, it's very unlikely my Garchomp would be able to do any sort of real damage to the Venu there. So chances are I was either going to SD there or make some kind of switch. So that is why I choose to make the switch out to Mandy, as he does make the switch out to his Umbreon. And if I had been Swords Dance Garchomp there, his Umbreon, we don't know this at this stage in the game, and that's not going to come into play until later on, but this is actually a Scarfed Umbreon, and I do believe it has Foul Play, so that would have actually caught my Garchomp SDing there and been able to surprise it with the KO there. So that could have been really interesting, but we do make the switch out to Mandy, which covers pretty much every way he could have gone about taking on the Chomp there, as my Mandy will be able to come in here, and he is going to make the switch out to Lele the turn as I do Taunt. Now, I Taunt whilst the switch out to Mandy, while the switch out to Lele there was fairly risk-free on his part, as Foul Play really wouldn't be doing much, and there's not a ton of reason for Medi to Foul Play there in the first place versus a Lele, versus an Umbreon. Taunt stopped his Umbreon from Wish Passing, it stopped him from firing off a Toxic, it stopped him from clicking Raw, it stopped him from essentially doing anything to my Mandibuzz, allowing me to U-turn the following turn, gaining momentum on anything that he switched in, or just getting chip on this Umbreon and bringing in something like my Suicune there, which would have effortlessly taken the Foul Play and just been able to sub up on that things. But he makes the switch out into his Lele, and getting the Taunt off here is going to prevent his Lele from doing any kind of Calm Mind shenanigans, any Toxic to my team. So that's really nice. It's also going to reveal that he's actually a lefties variant of Tapu Lele, which is interesting. So he's not Offensive Life Orb, he's not Assault Vest, he's not some kind of Resist Berry, he's lefty. So this implies that he could be really defensive, fat, max Fizz Def, as a kind of quote-unquote Medi check, even though it's not a Medi check because Poison Jab still blows it away after some chip. It is a nice high jump kick switch in. It could also be offensive with lefties, which is something to consider as well, and it could be a nice bluff. Either way, there's no point in risking Mandy here. I am going to make the obvious and safe play out into my Aegislash as he does fire off the Nature's Madness, and because he's shown lefties, I don't have to fear taking a Life Orb Shadow Ball here. His Lele is back at full with the lefty, so lefty's proving its worth right there. Just essentially nullified the rocks damage that he's taken, so that's pretty nice bring there. So right here, obviously his Lele is threatened with a potential Iron Head or Shadow Ball or any kind of dual stab from this AG, as he is going to make the switch out into his Alamomola here, as I am going to catch him with the Toxic. So we get some Toxic damage off on the Aloe, and that's going to be really important for whittling it down over the course of the game, making Medi and Garchomp's job of breaking through this thing a lot easier, as well as just allowing my Suicune to really just come in and sub up on it and just start calm minding. Like, it really gives my Suicune an even easier time versus this thing. So that's going to be really nice. If he is Heal Bell on his Umbreon, that will force him to actually click Heal Bell, which is going to be a nice turn of momentum swung back in my favor if he does ever catch me, because he's going to be wasting a turn clicking Heal Bell, and that's going to allow one of my mons to come in safely, or one of my mons to fire off an attack there. And yeah, that's going to be pretty nice. So right here, I am just going to stay in King Shield. Whilst him going for Wish here is quite a fine play on his behalf. He could have also knocked, he could have Toxic'd, he could have gone for Liquidation. But above all else, I just want to get a little bit of Lefty's recovery back, because that's going to be nice for switching into stuff like Lele. Again, moving forward in this match. So this turn I am going to make the switch out to my Garchomp, which covered him going for the knockoff play. It also covered him going, making the switch out there into his Umbreon, which obviously could check my Aegislash and could always Heal Bell up his Alamomola, as Garchomp immediately threatened that with the EQ or the Dragonium Z there. So he is going to make the play of going for Toxic here, and that's good information. Wish Toxic, so he could be Wish Protect, Toxic with Water Stab, like Liquidation or Scald. All this is important information. As this turn I am going to make the switch out into my Mandibuzz, as he does make the switch into his Kartana. Now, the reason I made the switch into Mandibuzz there on an Alamomola who had already revealed Toxic was my Garchomp wasn't breaking Alamomola in one hit. His Alamomola was on a timer, so I could just start firing off attacks, but realistically, like, me going for SD there and would have put him in a really bad position if he stayed in. Especially if he only had Skull to hit me, which, based on his moveset that he currently revealed, being Wish, Toxic, he probably had Protect, as that's the most consistent way of healing up Alamomola throughout the course of the game, with Wish obviously, and he probably had Water Stab. Ice Beam would have left him thoroughly walled by Nihilego, like essentially useless versus Aegislash. He may also have Knockoff on his set too, so either way, Garchomp was a real sort of issue for Aloe if it did get up an SD, and him going Cart covered me going for the Earthquake or the Dragon move there, as Cart can naturally chew EQs from even max attack Garchomp just because of its massive defense stats. So him going Cart would have punished my setup with Garchomp, and if he is like a Life Orb set, after the Toxic damage I would have taken with my Garchomp, I'll show you the amount of health I was at when I switched out. So he Toxics me, and I'm down to 80. What am I? Down to about 82 this turn. So if I had stayed into SD, I would have been down to 70% after taking the next round of Toxic damage. And I think depending on rolls, Adamant, Life Orb, Leaf Blade would have been able to potentially kill me, or at least put me in range of Toxic the following turn had I SD'd there. So him going Cart was a really nice, like, aggressive play. It punished me staying in an SDing, it punished me just clicking Earthquake or Outrage. But honestly, Earthquake or Outrage was never a play on my behalf. Like, had I Outraged there, it awarded Finny a switch in, like, it allowed him to Wish up and bring in, sorry, not Finny, Lele. Really put me in a tricky spot. And his Aloe is probably Fizz Def, so it chews neutral Garchomp's hits easily, even whilst it is a little bit toxic there. So yeah, my Mandibuzz play covered him going, not only him going Cart, but also him going something like Venusaur. So right here, as I said, I do double out into my Mandibuzz, as that does initially force out the card, because Foul Play is going to do a shit ton to this thing. And Foul Play damage off on his team is pretty nice. But this turn I am going to go for the U-turn, I believe, as he does bring in his Venusaur, and what this is going to pretty much give me is Medicham inside. So Medi's inside. Now at this stage in the game, I hadn't seen an item on Aloe. He could well be Rocky Helmet, definitely, because that appears to be one of his main Fizz-Def walls in this game. As his Venusaur was taking that U-turn a little bit poorly for a fully Fizz-Def Venu. In fact, I think it was like no Fizz-Def, maybe a little bit, but I'll have to see Murk's side of this. Either way, that U-turn was doing a little bit too much, and that implied that this wasn't his response to my physically offensive threats. So chances are he he is physically defensive allo, and I did think at this stage he could be like Rocky Helmet potentially, but I was really thinking he'd be a Jack button, because as you can see, Dougie's not switching in on anything safely. It essentially comes in on like a double down, really, or just like to revenge something after I kill one of his mons. But if he is an eject button allo, that pretty much awards him a safe switch in versus a threat on my team like Medi. So obviously my Medi is designed to check, like to be able to 1v1 Dougie, but I really was expecting him to be the eject button here. So I am going to go for the Psycho cut, as he doesn't reveal to be the eject button, and he reveals, like, we know he's not lefty, so he's probably going to be the Rocky Helmet set, which is good to know. So right here, I'm not going to let my my Medicham get toxic. It's not worth it. Keeping Medicham healthy is amazing, because Medi checks a lot of his team. It's a real massive threat to him here. So I am going to go into my Aegislash here, as he does go up for the Wish, and this turn he is going to make the switch out into his Umbreon, as I am going to make the switch into my Mandibuzz. So I go Mandy there because it covers him going Venusaur, it covers him going Dougie, it covers him, like, he could have gone Dougie there on a potential Toxic, as that would have obviously forced out my Aegislash the following turn, which would have allowed him to get up Rocks, which would have been a real hindrance to my team. Well, it would have helped him, like, Rocks would have helped Murk, and the way I'm playing is preventing his Dog Trio from coming in and getting up Rocks, if he does even have Rocks for that matter. So I am expecting him to start making aggressive plays like that, because he's really, like, not getting anywhere with my team. My team's just really placing the pressure on. I've got, like, whilst his mons haven't taken a ton of damage, I've already got information on his team. His Kartana has taken a couple of rounds of Rocks at this stage, and yeah, he's just really not getting anywhere. So I'm expecting him to make those kind of aggressive plays, but even him going Umbreon here doesn't work out badly for me, because my Mandibuzz can just taunt him here, preventing him from potentially going for the Heal Bell. But he actually reveals to be quite a fast, speedy Umbreon here, so I am going to go for the U-turn, as I am able to U-turn out into my Suicune on his Heal Bell. And yeah, like I said, he outsped me there with Umbreon, which he could only do if he was, like, really speed invested on his Umbreon, because Mandy is naturally quite fast, or if he's Scuffed. But yeah, Scuffed Umbreon is kind of like, it's kind of bad versus me. Like, it doesn't revenge Medi, because Medi's attack stat doesn't take into consideration huge power, so it's not like, or pure power, so it's not like it's doing a million damage. Like, as far as foul play is concerned, huge power it doesn't affect my attack stat, so I'm just a measly base 100. And with all my HP investment, foul play is doing, like, under half. But I guess it would be quite nice for an, I don't know, I'm trying to think. It'd be nice to catch an SD Chomp, which is a big threat to his team, so I can understand that. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have to see his side of that, but I'm not really sure about SD, his Scarfed Umbreon here. But either way, this does allow me to go into my Coon here. If he is Scarfed, which I didn't really think he was at this stage in the game, he's locked into Heal Bell. And even if he's not Scarfed and he's just like a speedy Umbreon, he's not outspeeding my Coon. So I am just going to sub up this turn, as he does go into his Venusaur. And yeah, sub Coon is inside. So I'm going to start protecting here. I want to see what his moves are. He's shown to have Leech Seed. He's probably got Synthesis, and now he reveals Substitute. So this means if he has an attacking move, he only has one. One attacking move. So this is going to be really nice for Vinecoon, as this turn I am just going to go for the Calm Mind, as Murk is going to go for the Petal Blizzard here. Now this is a physical grass attack. It has base 90 power, and it's got about 16 PP. So with Coon's ability, it has 8 PP essentially. So this is not bad at all. I can just go for the Protect here, as he does go for the Leech, so I'm stalling out Leeches, which is nice. And this turn I can just sub up once more, as he is going to go for the Synthesis. Now this is an interesting predicament, because Murk's trying to play around not losing all this Petal Blizzard damage, but obviously Vinekun is Vinekun. But more importantly, this means that his Venusaur really cannot do a ton to my other members. Petal Blizzard is his only way of damaging Nihilego. Obviously Leech Seed is annoying, but Petal Blizzard isn't going to do a ton to my Nihilego because I am quite bulky. And as far as damaging Medicham, it's not going to do a lot either, so that's really nice. It's also walled by my Mandibuzz, so if I taunt the Mandibuzz and you turn out, it's a Medi every time, so that's really nice. I don't even have to worry about getting Sludge Bomb poisoned on my Mandibuzz. But obviously Vinekun can play its game here, as I am just going to Calm Mind up once more, as he is going to Petal Blizzard. And you know, realistically, Kun isn't going to be taking on this Venusaur at this stage in the game, as eventually, like Murk, if he's clever, which Murk is a smart player, he's just going to go Cart on a Protect, but that's all good with me because I have my Cart check in the back and it's at full, so he's going to go for the Petal Blizzard here, and I believe it's this turn that I do Protect, just to get a little bit of health back, as he is going to bring in his Katana here, and this is nice. Out of that exchange, I've burnt off some Petal Blizzard PP from his Venu. I've revealed its entire moveset, and I've kept Kun at a nice healthy amount of HP, and I've pretty much established Kun as a threat that, as enough of a threat for Katana to pretty much have to come in and attack me directly. So this turn I am going to make the switch out to Mandibuzz, as he is going to go for the knockoff. Knockoff was a great play there. I believe he may well have lived a +2 Scald from that range. And even though Katana's Spit-F is awful, it's still a resisted hit. But you know, he may have dropped out. I'm not really sure the calcs there, but either way, knockoff covered me staying in, and because it removed my lefties, and it covered me going to Mandy, just getting the Rocky Helmet damage off, which is nice. But you know, at this stage, Katana is in range of Power Gem from my Nihilego at +1. He's also in range of stuff like Shadow Ball from my Aegislash and EQ from my Chomp if he takes one more round of like Rough Skin or something like that. And Foul Play is going to be doing a million to this thing. So right here, he is going to make the switch out to his Umbreon. As I do go for the U-turn, I catch him once again. His Umbreon is nice and low, as I am going to bring in my Nihilego here. So right here, I am going to go for the Charge Beam, as he does make the Baton Pass play out into his Venusaur. And as you guys can see, he was Scarfed revealed by that play, because my Nihilego is faster than a max speed Umbreon, of course. And yeah, he Baton Passed out first before I could attack. So Venusaur is going to come inside, and I am going to get the 70% Charge Beam boost. So we are at a nice +1. And this Venusaur is yeah, looking in a pretty difficult spot, because he doesn't want to lose Venu, because that's his best, it's not even a check to Vinekun if Vinekun has a sub up, but it's an irritator to Vinekun for sure. And if he loses Venusaur, Suicune's going to really run rampant, and Aegislash becomes a bigger threat to his team. Because his Umbreon is revealed to be a Scarf set. So here he is going to make the double back into his Umbreon on my Psyshock, and that's totally fine. I can just go for the Sludge Wave here and knock this thing out, getting the speed boost, and he's going to go for the Scarfed Iron Tail, and he's going to get the defense drop. Now that defense drop is pretty unlucky, because now depending on rolls, he has a 50% chance to kill my Nihilego spread with a Petal Blizzard, assuming he's just no attack investment on his Mega Venusaur. But if he doesn't choose to bring that in, if he goes into something like Katana, not realizing I got a speed boost or something, I'll be able to take that out. And if he goes into Doug Trio, I'll be able to take that out with a Psyshock, because I am at +1 and he will have taken the Rocks chip. But he is going to go back out into Venusaur. Now, at this range of health, it's also a 50% roll for Venu to die to a Psyshock, based on the way what I calculated his defensive investment to be earlier on from the way he was taking hits from my team. This Venusaur has a really good chance of going down to this +1 Psyshock, and I've got about a 50% chance to live this Petal Blizzard. So we're gonna see here. If I get unlucky with the rolls, there's still a chance I could live the Petal Blizzard and kill him the following turn. If I get lucky with the roll, then I don't even have to get lucky with obviously living the Petal Blizzard. So we're going to see. I am going to go for the Psyshock, and he is going to live, and he is going to take me out. So we get a low roll there with the Psyshock, and he gets the roll he needs to take me out with the Petal Blizzard. So unfortunate, but that's Mons. You know, drops happen. But it would have been really cool because there, like, had Vunu gone down, his whole team would have essentially dropped to this Nihilego. Because his Alamomola is Fizdef, he would have literally got swept. Like, he would have got 6-0 swept by this Nihilego. So I suppose you could say the drop saved him from getting embarrassed. I guess you could say, but you know, it is what it is. That's just Mons, and he does get the defense drop there, so he gets lucky with the rolls, and Nihilego is going to get down. But yeah, back to the kind of analysis at this point in the game. He's lost his best Vinekun response with allowing Venusaur to get this low, and because rocks are up, I don't really have to worry about this thing coming back in and healing up later on in the game. So I am just going to go out into my medi here, as I am just going to be able to bop it with a Psycho Cut, and now he's going to bring in his Lele. So like, him not going Dougie there was interesting. I don't know his set, so like I said, I'm eager to see Murk's side of the match. Because if he was grounding him and I was like offensive medi, he could have potentially taken me out there, but he opts to go into Lele instead, implying that this is probably like Fizdef, based on what I said earlier, and not like offensive lefties. This is probably going to be Fizdef Lele. Now, this is an interesting spot. If I go out to my AG here, that's you know, expecting the Moonblast or something like that, because he's Fizdef. Like, Moonblast can't even kill. Moonblast can't even actually kill my medi if he's like not invested, if he's just like max defense, max HP, because I am so bulky on this medi. A Psychic Terrain boosted Psychic will also not kill me. Actually, I think Moonblast did a little bit more than a Psychic Terrain Psychic. Psychic did about 70%, around 70% max if he's not invested. So that's kind of crazy. Medi has a really solid chance of getting big damage off in this Lele. But more importantly, if I go out into my AG here and he makes the play of switching out into his Dougie, expecting that, he obviously doesn't trap my AG, but he has the potential to get up rocks. And at this stage in the game, Katana is his win con. Katana is the way he can hope to win this game. If he can put enough pressure on Mandibuzz to the point where I can't switch in on a like Life Orb Adamant, because he is Life Orb Adamant, by the way. Like, the damage earlier revealed that he was Adamant Life Orb. So if he can get enough chip off on my Mandibuzz in the form of Stealth Rocks, to ensure that I can't come in on like a +2 Smart Strike or something, or just a Smart Strike after rocks, his Katana is looking like a real threat in this endgame, depending on how he can play around Aegislash, because Leaf Blade obviously handles the Coon, and Garchomp, if he gets an attack boost, is going to be in range of an attack from his Katana. So I really feel like him going Dougie, like, Murk has to make these series of plays really to get back into the game. He has to go Dougie as I go AG. He has to set up rocks as I go out into my Mandy, dodging the EQ or the ground EMZ. And from there, he can make the switch out into something like his Alamomola or back into his Lele on the foul play or the U-turn. That gets up rocks. That ensures that every time Mandy comes in, it takes 25. And every time he brings in Cart, I'm kind of forced to go to Mandibuzz, because I either sack something, give it a boost, or I have to go to Mandibuzz in order to roost up and click foul play. So those are the series of plays Murk really has to make to get back into this game. And if he does stay in an attack, me going for Psycho Cut puts this thing in range, potentially of Earthquake from Garchomp, as well as Shadow Ball from my Aegislash. I also have a Coon, which is a very solid win condition in this endgame. Beats the Dougie, beats the Aloe, beats this potentially Fizdef Lele with getting Calm Mind boosts up, because I do outspeed it. And I always do have the Mandy in the back for the Cart, even if I lose my Medi. So I am going to stay in here in Psycho Cut, as he does make the play out into Dougie. And we do take that thing out. So this may look like a really questionable play on Murk's end, and it'll be interesting to hear his thought process. But That kind of scenario that I explained just then about the way he wins this game is the only kind of explanation I can see for him making that play. Like, Murk's a smart guy. He doesn't just throw away win cons for no reason. I'm sure there was a method to kind of method to his madness, so to speak, and I'm sure he had a reason for doing that. And if I had any guess, it'd be something along the lines of the scenario I just explained. So he is going to bring back out the Lele, and I am just going to get Psycho Cut damage off on this Lele as he reveals to be max defense. And he's going to crit me here with a Psychic. So like I said, Psychic didn't kill my Medi. It did about 70% because of how well he took that Psycho Cut. He was indeed like max Fizz Def. So Medi is going to go down, which is unfortunate. But ultimately, it only would have really mattered if I crit the next Psycho Cut in terms of 1v1ing this Lele, because Psycho Cut did 33 there, and had he stayed in, I would have got another Psycho Cut off, but I wouldn't have killed him, barring a crit. But I guess Psycho Cut has a high crit ratio, so you never know. But ultimately, it just would have put it in closer in range of dying to something like Garchomp's Earthquake. But, that's all good. Medi's going to drop, but this thing put in the work. And now I am going to bring out my Aegislash, and I am just going to go for the Shadow Ball, as he does go for the Nature's Madness in a last-ditch attempt to weaken this thing for his Kartana, I guess, to sweep or to break. He didn't reveal Shadow Ball there, though, so that's going to be interesting to see what his move was. A move pool. He's shown Psychic, Nature's Madness, so yeah, I'm curious to see what his other moves were. I feel like Shadow Ball was probably the better play there, because you didn't risk the miss, and you got guaranteed super effective damage off versus my AG, but anyway, he's going to go out to his Katana now, and the way I lose this game is by switching into Mandibuzz and letting him set up an SD and allowing him to kill me with +2 Smart Strike from Adamant Life Orb Cut. The way I win this game is staying in here, going for Shadow Ball on his SD, or allowing him to knock me out with Knockoff, and then going into my Mandibuzz and clicking Foul Play. It also covers him switching into Alamomola for some reason, but his play is the SD 100% here. That's how he has to win the game. He has to bank off the choke, but that's not how we do it out here. AG is going to take out the cart, and now the Elo is going to come in. Again, like, I agree with that play. Like, Murk had the SD. That was how he won the game. If I had switched there, so. AG is going to come in, and his L is going to come in, knock me off, as I will just be able to Toxic this thing, put it on a timer, and then just start clicking Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball into Shadow Sneak will be able to knock out this Alamomola, assuming he doesn't click Protect here, and that is going to be the game. So nice 4-0. Felt pretty good about this game. Obviously, like, it was a real shame to see Nihilego go down the way it did. I was pretty excited about that set, like seeing Charge Beam work and then getting the speed boost, which which forced the Dugtrio and the cart to stay out. It was pretty great, but that's just unfortunate the way it ended. But obviously, yeah, very happy with this game. Good game to Murk. I know he was not looking forward to facing my team. I can understand that. But he has a very threatening team of his own. I feel like Lele and Dougie invalidate so much offense in their own, as well as a lot of defensive responses to Lele. So yeah, I really do feel like his team is incredible. Like Cart is such a fun one. I really am excited to use that thing in the future. And his fat Venusaur Alamomola Heatran core with Umbreon is something that he's used very well in the past, and he's using it well this season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does for the rest of the season. But yeah, good game to Murko. Check out his perspective of the game. And yeah, that's going to be it for I think it's week 7, right? Oh, week 6. Yeah, this is week 6. So next week we're going to face off against my boy Gregulator in what should be a pretty fun game. I haven't played Greg. I think I may have played him once years ago, back in the CPC, I think. So that'll be fun to. I think I did. I may be wrong there, but yeah, it'll be fun to play Greg. I know he's really progressed as a player, so yeah, it'll be good to face him this season. He's got a nice Zardex squad, so you already know Zardex Lando, so that's going to be a fun one. But yeah, that's going to be it for week 6. Hope you guys did enjoy, and I will catch you guys next time. Drop a like if you enjoyed, comment, all that stuff, and I'm out.